Hello and welcome to this Parish Online training session. My name's Chris Muse and I'm here with Olivia, who's also going to be on the chat today. So we're going to run through the basics of Parish Online and we're going to run through a few practicals as well. So we're going to be looking at the user interface, how you manage different types of layers, and importantly for this session, we're going to be looking at how you add asset information into your Parish Online account. This is going to take around an hour, we think, but if I go a bit fast, then we might finish a bit sooner. And at the end, we'll have a Q&A session as well. So Olivia's going to collect all of your questions from the chat box. So please put information into the chat box, any questions that you have there, and we'll collate those and pick out the good ones at the end. So let me just show you an agenda for what we're going to be doing today. So, like I said, we're going to be looking at just an introduction to Parish Online. We know that quite a few of you are going to be new to the product. Some of you will be long-term users over the last few years, so it's great to have you here. We'll at least get you understanding what Parish Online is all about. We'll look at some example use cases. So Parish Online is used for a wide variety of things, and it's really hard to keep up with what everyone's doing. But we'll show you some uses of what people have been using it for, and that will hopefully give you some inspiration. Then we'll go into our practical session. So we'll fire up a Parish Online account on my screen, and we'll show you how you can build up an asset register. And this is an increasingly popular thing that's happening now. Particularly a digital asset register. We'll also look at how you can make amendments to that and treat it as a live document. That's, again, increasingly an important thing in modern way of working. So we'll show you how to use Parish Online for that and make it work for you. And then we'll also look at a few other parts of Parish Online, not specific to an asset register as such, but important key features in Parish Online that you might find uses for. And then at the end, we'll give you some recommendations for how you can get started if you're new to Parish Online. If you're a pro already, then that's great. We would love you to share the word about Parish Online to your neighbouring parishes. But for the new people here, we'll show you how you can get started, how you can subscribe to Parish Online, and also how you can get Parish Online for free now. And as I said, at the end, we'll do a Q&A. So hit me with your hardest questions. Okay, so we'll start off with the very basics of this, and that's really why you would use maps at all. And the argument that we give for this is you could have something like this on the left-hand side, a list or a spreadsheet of your assets, for example. So in this case, we've got a list of benches, and that's really useful information and could be stored on your computer, and you could use that as a perfectly acceptable asset register. But what we like to think is that with everything that has a place, adding your information onto a map gives you a much better idea of what the distribution and your responsibilities are in your area. So plotting those out onto a map, you can see that you've got a big distribution in the top left, and that can help in the future if you're going off doing maintenance. Knowing where something is the first battle. So plotting a non-map based spreadsheet into a map form gives you such more information. So we think that this is really helpful in helping you increase your understanding of what you're responsible for. And then more specifically, why would you use maps in local councils? Well, there's lots of different uses. As I said at the start, we have 1,200 parish councils subscribed to our software now, which is fantastic, really. It's amazing to see how the software is being used by so many different people, and it's used for so many different things. So here's just a few examples of what Parish Online is used for. Asset management in the top left is a key one. But it's used for a lot of neighbourhood planning as evidence documents within within your neighbourhood plan document, adding a map into there, the classic of a picture paints 1,000 words. You've also got things like insurance inventories, which is now kind of linked to your asset management, especially when the data is the same data. It's that same point on the map. That same bench has an asset life, and it also has an insurance liability to it. It's used very topically at the moment for Christmas light planning. So we had quite a few parishes earlier in the year creating information in Parish Online that was going to plot out where their Christmas lights were going to go. Silly things like knowing how long your stream of lights need to be. You can use the measurement tools in Parish Online to do that. And that's a really good example of a nice practical use of Parish Online. And it's also used in a lot of events planning. So simple things like marking out where your car park's going to be for your fireworks night, and even marking out where you want your volunteers to go to help marshal the event. Putting that onto a map, printing it off and giving it to your colleagues, that means everyone's really informed and know what they're doing. Looking in the middle bottom there, we've got contracts management. So grass cutting is a large portion of what Parish Online does, putting the areas that you're responsible for into Parish Online, knowing the accurate area, being able to get good quotes for that. That's really helpful for keeping informed and making sure you get a good quality of service in your council. Top right, we've got public communications. So increasingly parishes are using Parish Online to plot out things they want to do, a new cycle route, for example, put it onto a map and publish it onto the website and give the public really accurate and useful information about what you're planning on doing in the area. And then final two there, we've got emergency resilience. There was a big project in West Sussex where they did a project on being more resilient in a council area. They were plotting things like where town halls could be at risk from surface water flooding, for example. So using Parish Online to look at that information on a map and make some informed decisions on it was really valuable. And then land ownership, that's another big one. So if you have a planning application going on in your area, or you want to see the ownership of a piece of land, then Parish Online has the boundaries for that. And that is a really good starting point that can save hours and hours of work. And certainly a good few £3 to the land registry when you need to find out. So Parish Online is used for a lot of that as well. Okay, and then to introduce Parish Online itself, it's a self-service mapping portal, so it's all on the web. It's all on a website, so there's nothing you need to install. It's easy to learn. Or we'll find out later as well, based on the number of questions I get back. And it's also on an affordable subscription service. So we want you to be able to use this. We don't want there to be a financial barrier to this. So we've made it as cost effective as we can, and we grade the pricing based on population. So the smaller parishes aren't going to find it hard to subscribe to because it's based on the size of your area. And so yeah, self-service, and it will help you access digital mapping that can be used for your council business, and it can be used by multiple staff within your council, so it's not just limited to one user. So you get even better value for money there. Okay, and we like to think that Parish Online is easy to use, and again we'll find out in a minute, but we've tried to make things as simple as possible so that you can log into Parish Online and get on with your job. We don't want it to be laborious. We're always looking for feedback on that because we know it's an ever evolving thing, but we create a nice and easy interface so that you can look at the mapping you need to and add the information that you want to. We have a list of knowledge base. We have a big knowledge base where we put tutorials, videos, and step-by-step guides. And we also do things like this, increasingly so now, to make sure that you are informed and you know the power of Parish Online and how you can use it for your job. And then also there's friendly email support. That friendly email support mostly goes to myself and Olivia. So feel free to get in touch with us using support@parish-online.co.uk, and that will come through to us and we'll help you as best as we can. And so we think that you don't need to be a computer guru for this. We've made it as easy as possible, and as it's through a website, there's nothing to install. So we give you the best chance of being able to use it really effectively within your council. The other benefit of Parish Online is there's a lot of information out there that could be really useful for you. Take, for example, Environment Agency flood zones, Historic England data, such as listed buildings, and land registry boundaries. All this information is out there on the web in the world, and that's fine. You can go and access it individually, but a lot of it's all in quite complicated formats and has a lot of maintenance involved in it. So where we earn our money is we do that work for you, put all of that information into Parish Online so that it's simply you add it into, you switch it on as a layer, and then it's available for you. You don't have to go searching around different parts of the internet to find it. And we have the lovely task of doing that for you. So as you can see on this slide, we've got a few different sources of information. There's actually a lot more than that. We've got over 200 different layers in Parish Online, all information that we hope that you find useful. So we've put that in there for a purpose. If there are other pieces of information that you would like to see in Parish Online, then do get in touch with us, because we like that feedback. We like a challenge. We like to go and find more data that's helpful for you. And then within Parish Online, you've got different types of mapping data. So I'm just going to click all these on now. So from the top, we've got data from government agencies. Most of those are the ones in those icons I had before, those logos. So Environment Agency, Historic England, Natural Resources for Wales, bringing all of that data together. We also, where we can, and this is a really fun / laborious task, is sourcing information from local authorities. So they've got information that's not publicly available, and we would like that in Parish Online, as would you. So we work with you to basically lobby those local authorities to share that information, get it into Parish Online, and then that benefits everyone. Examples of this data include listed buildings. They've got a few extra listed building data sets, tree preservation orders, public rights of way, settlement boundaries, drainage, parking, like TROs. There's lots of information out there, certainly within local authorities, and that's information that could really help you. So where we can, we put that information in. And if you look on our website, we've got a menu item which says the data that's shared from local authorities. We've got a list of what we've got in there, so you can quickly see whether the principal authority in your area has been good and shared data with us, or whether we've got some work to do. Next down the list, we've got collaborative layers. This is something that we are starting to work on now, and it's the idea that we can create a layer that's consistent across the whole country, and so that when you go and put information into Parish Online, it's consistently styled and has consistent information in it. And that's really going to help in the long term, because it's going to give us the ability to look at a national picture rather than just your parish area. So the asset register links to that piece of work, but isn't directly linked to it. But we'll be doing more work on that in the future. And then finally, we have layers that are private to you. So these are your own map layers, private to your account, and it's information that you would put in into your Parish Online account that's not shared anywhere else. An example of this might be incidents of fly tipping, or it might be layers that you're using to build up your neighbourhood plan that's not available to share yet. So this is a free-for-all, really. You can put whatever you like in here. We give you some templated layers through the asset register, which I'll come on to, and also through other collaborative layers. But Parish Online is a free-for-all where you can put whatever information in that you like, providing it's part of your parish business. So that's just a range of the types of information that you get into there, and it's useful to know that because when you log into it, there are a lot of layers in there, and that can be quite overwhelming. But just to let you know, there are different sources of data that come in, and that's how we can manage the data within Parish Online. Okay, so rattling through here, again, this is kind of linked back to the first slide where Parish Online as a digital record is a lot more useful than the reliance on paper copies, especially when there's a transition between clerks, and I'm sure that there's been examples where data has been lost because the previous clerks emigrated to Barbados and all their information is left on their laptop, and that's not very useful for you as the incoming clerk. So Parish Online can be a really good data repository, so that when the clerk changes, that information is already in there, and that saves a heap of time. So we've had examples of this already where clerks have come to us and said, "Do we have a Parish Online account?" And we say yes, and we're certainly on their Christmas card list then. So Parish Online is definitely a good, reliable source or resource, I suppose, to store your parish information. So you can use it to create a permanent, regularly maintained record of your parish, whatever theme of information you're looking to record there. Gives you that easy transition between clerks, and also can give you allow you to make that information visible to the whole council, whether that's through logins to different councillors, or even something we're working on at the moment is the ability to publish that information onto your website. So that's why we think Parish Online is a good tool to have and to continue using, continue to subscribe to, because it's there as a permanent digital record. Okay, so again, I'll try and rattle through this. There's many other features in Parish Online. Just be sure that we keep all your data safe and secure, and we are constantly improving Parish Online to put more data in and to add more functionality to make it as simple to use and as valuable to use as possible. So we'll gloss over that slide there, but yes, there's lots of information there, and our aim is to make it a really useful tool. So looking at some examples of what Parish Online has been used for, it's used a lot in assessing planning applications. So as parish councils are given a voice in a planning application, you also need the information to be able to make an informed decision on that. So simply, well, in this example, you've got the red box in the middle, and that's a planning application site, and the user has switched on the ancient woodlands, the SSSIs, and the flood risk to see what constraints are in that area and things that might affect that planning application. So this is your chance to look at that information and make an informed decision on it. There's lots of other uses there. We put these on our website and we're trying to continuously update these. So if you have any good stories about how you've used Parish Online, however banal they seem or simple they may seem, it's really useful to share it with us, because then we can share it to other users of Parish Online, and that will get them more efficient and make the whole system a lot more useful. Here's an example of a parish who used Parish Online for their neighbourhood plan. So they put in their own private layers into there. They put in their village confines. They put in environmental constraints. They got information from the local authority on public rights of way, and they built up a picture of their area. And they could switch on layers to communicate different things. So, as part of the neighbourhood plan, when they got through to a certain point, which is looking at the environment, they would switch on those layers and say, here's what we want to protect, here's what we want to build on, and inputted a map into that document. And so that just made it a lot more visual and a lot more informative to the reader. We had a parish down in Bath and North East Somerset area, and they were getting very frustrated about the number of signs that the local authority were putting in. And it wasn't, it was just a case that there wasn't really the communication between them. So they started a project with the local authority, and the first part of that was they plotted all of the signs in their village. They coloured them up. As you can see from the right hand side, you've got a legend there of what all those markers represent. They put in a condition, so they stored information within each of those points, and that allowed them to look at the distribution of signage around the village and make some decisions on what needed to go, what was damaged, what was duplicated, and essentially decluttering their village of signs whilst retaining some really good information for it. So not reducing the information, but just decluttering and making it more sensible. And that was a great project, and that brought the local authority and that particular parish council much closer together. And then more recently, there was a parish up in Nottinghamshire, Harleston, and they were one of the first parishes to add their digital asset register into Parish Online. So here's a screenshot of it, and you can see that they've put a marker down where they own a speed camera device. So they put in when it was installed, what the replacement value is for it, and when it was last inspected. And they're also able to add a picture into it as well. So they attached a photo, and they also attached a few other documents to it, around like an operational manual. And that allowed them to have that live document that they can continuously improve and refer back to when they needed to. And another example here, something a little bit different. There was a parish here who wanted to publicise the history in their village. So they plotted on a map where there were things that they thought were particularly interesting, and they put a map into a little A5 postcard that they then put into the information centre and into the post office, and people visiting the village could pick it up and go around and do the walk that they suggested. So the map here was only a small portion of that postcard, but gave them a good picture of what was going on. Okay, and we spend a lot of time talking to parishes, but we also spend a lot of time talking to association bodies. So NALC in particular have been great in working with us, helping promote the concept of using digital mapping for best practice within a local council. And Parish Online, we think, aligns to the NALC's forward plan in that it can attract young people to the council, in that it's technology and quite an engaging product. It allows you to provide better evidence to support actions and decisions, and improves parish, town, and actually principal authority engagement with their communities. So that's been, we really appreciate the input that NALC have been giving us and the support, and that's it's nice that our product is being acknowledged in that way. So just some information on how Parish Online is, how the information that goes into Parish Online. So you have what's called a PSMA license. a public sector mapping agreement license, and that allows you to go from that type of mapping on the right hand side to this type of mapping. So a lot more detail, and allows you, when you come to do whatever job you're doing within Parish Online, allows you to get a lot more information. We have the same license equivalent for aerial photography, and that's called the APGB license, and that will take you from imagery that looks a bit like this into much crisper, higher resolution imagery, and that's available streamed into Parish Online. So to get access to those data sets, you'll need to have those two licenses, and that's something that we are improving in the short term, how that information, how you get that license for the PSMA and the APGB. So when you log into Parish Online in the near future, it will give you those prompts, tell you whether there's anything else that you could be adding into Parish Online through these licenses. Okay, right, that's the death by PowerPoint. So let's switch over into Parish Online itself. Let me switch through here. Okay, so this is our homepage. And if you haven't signed up to Parish Online yet, then please use the sign up link here, and it will allow you to take a 30-day trial. So we definitely recommend that, obviously. But again, if you like what you see here, then take up that trial and give it a go. But right, I'm already signed up, so I'm going to log straight in. So you have your username here and your password. If you have any problems with usernames or passwords, try resetting it using the link on the login page, or get in touch with us and we can help you there. My account is set as a trial, so it comes up with this first to give me my options on how I can subscribe, and I'll go over these later. I'm going to continue my trial for now. And so when you log in, you get a picture of your parish. I've got the blue boundary here, which shows me the parish boundary, and behind that I've got the Ordnance Survey mapping. So this behaves just like Google Maps, so I can drag the map around and I can zoom in, and as I zoom in it will change the scale of the mapping. So you can see in this account I've got a PSMA license that's assigned to it, and it gives me that more detailed mapping. And on the left hand side we have this concept of layers, as I was talking about before. So layers can be switched on and off independently. So I could switch off the Ordnance Survey mapping, and I can turn on the aerial photography. So depending on the scale that you're looking, it might take a few seconds or it might be pretty quick. But this allows you to change the view of the background map. And so you do this depending on what you're looking to achieve, whether you're looking at trees or whether you just want a stylized view of the area. So these green collections here are your base maps, so mapping that sits in the background to everything else you do. And then below there we have, well, my eyesight's not great, but whether that's a grey or a beige colour, up for debate. All of these here are different collections of information, and so they're grouped by theme. So I can expand this collection here. Okay, it's only got one layer in it. I can switch that on, and this gives me all of the addresses in this area. And you can see I've got a little tick on there as well. And when I hover over it, I've got the options to go to an extent or change the opacity of them. So I can change the strength of that, or I can click it again and switch them off. So if you're new to Parish Online, I'd recommend logging in and just having a look through all of these layers, because there's a lot of information in there. If you're in Wales, you'll get a slightly different set of data, because you don't need to see the English data, and likewise the English don't need to see the Welsh data. So we have a slightly different view. So if you're viewing from Wales and you're seeing a lot of the word England, then don't worry about it. When you log into your Parish Online account, you'll get something different. Okay, so I'm going to zoom back out to my parish area. And again, something very simple, but maybe a clerk who's new to their parish, they might not actually know the boundary or the actual extent to the parish. So this boundary is a national data set, so you can roam all over the country, and I can switch that on and off to overlay the parish boundaries. And if I click on the map, it goes and searches for everything within where I've clicked, and the left-hand side panel changes to a different view, and this gives me more information. It's information that's stored within that object on the map. So it's got the name and it's got various other things here that actually aren't that interesting, but it's got the area as well. That might be useful for you, and you can view the area in lots of different units. And if I'm finished with that, I can just press the X button up there to close it, and that takes me back to my default view. Okay, now the idea with this training session was to look at how you can add your digital asset register. And to start with that, if you look on the left-hand side, depending on if you've used Parish Online before, you may have parish layers as a group here if you've added a layer already. But you will also get an asset register collection. So this asset register collection is a load of predefined, pre-built layers that we've worked with BHIB Council's Insurance to design layers that are most suitable for adding that information. So you could use these to add the information in without having to worry about creating a layer or making your own layer of information. So let's get straight into that. So I'm going to switch on the buildings layer here, and you can see that it's I've already put some information in here, but I'm going to go and create something new. So I'm going to zoom in, and let's go down a little bit further. Okay. Now, let's say, for example, the parish council has taken over this garage. Not particularly likely, but I'm running out of ideas in my demo account, so you have to bear with me. Once I've got this, I want to put a point on the map to represent that garage being owned by the council. So I'm going to go up to this top menu item here on the top menu bar and click Create, and then go to Add Feature. And what that does is it changes that left-hand side view again, and it gives me a drop-down list of the layers that I've got available to edit. So I can choose from any of these. I'm going to select Buildings, and you can see it now switches into another view where I've got all the information I might like to add into that object. Now, this has been designed by BHIB Council's Insurance, so we would recommend putting as much information as you can in here. But if you don't have it all to hand straight away, then later on I'll show you how you can go back and add information to later on. That's actually a very good point to take now, is that this might seem a bit daunting that you've got to add all of your assets into Parish Online in one go. You don't have to do that. Use this as an iterative process. Pick a battle, say adding your buildings, and do those bit by bit, and that will give you the confidence of how you use Parish Online and also how you can develop it further to add more information in. But yeah, don't get too anxious about having to add everything in at once. It's once you get used to it, it's very simple. So it's up to you now whether you add your information in here on the left first, or whether you add your information on the map. I'm going to click on the map. So all I did is a single left click, and you see it added a little circle there. And then I'm going to tell Parish Online what that point is. So I doubt I'm going to have a garage here. So I'm going to go general multi-purpose building. But you can see I've got a load of categories that could be used for this to give me a style. I'm going to click on that, and then this is called garage, description of location, date purchased was the 1st of 12th 2019. Replacement value, this basically is your insured value. That would be, let's say it's worth 1.5 million, very expensive garage. And it is last valued, well actually it was valued when I purchased it, so it was on the same, that was when it was done. And I want to be checking this every 12 months. Now, putting in this frequency is a bit premature because Parish Online does not remind you when that valuation is due, but that's something we are looking at adding to make Parish Online work for you a lot more. So we're constantly evolving the software. We think this is an area where we think it'd be really useful to have. Okay, inspected date. You get the idea. We're going to be putting in the information that's relevant to that point, and we'll probably inspect that every 6 months and some notes on it if I want to. This could be anything additional that you wanted to add in about that point. Okay, right. Now I've got that information in there, I'm just going to click save, and that immediately stores it on the map. So I can close the feature editor there. And now that point is there in your account forever. That will not disappear unless you go in and delete it. So you can really see the power that that's a permanent asset record, and something that's not just something you do and then forget. It's something that you can go back to when you need to refer to it, or if you need to do something with it or adjust the information within it. And again, to show you the concept of layers, this buildings layer is switched on, so I can tick it to hide it, and that's all it's done, it's hidden it, it hasn't removed it. I can switch it back on if I need to see it. Okay, I'm going to zoom back into that area, and I can also add information into this by clicking on it, and it comes up with the information on the left hand side. It also has who created it, so if you've got multiple users in Parish Online you can check who actually added it, and you can see when it was created. And also I can see all the information I put in about it before. So I've got the replacement value still there. And if I wanted to, I could go and edit that information. To do that, actually let me show you that again because I did that quite quickly. So click on the map where the point is, and it comes up on the left hand side. Now, if you do that with other layers showing, it will give you an option for which one you actually want to select, because it's found the parish boundary and it's found that building object. So if it comes up with this, you just need to select the layer where the object is. Okay, and it's found it again. So don't let that trick you when you're selecting information. And then I can go into edit it. So I'm just going to click this pencil icon, and you can see it switches back into editor mode. So if I wasn't quite happy with where that position was, I could drag the point into a different location. And I can also change the information held within here. So I can put, I want to be more descriptive. Actually, I know that, actually, it's the old Citroen garage. And click save. And so again, if I click on that, that information's immediately available there. Now I can also add attachments to this. So if I've got a picture or a document that I want to add into it, I can click on this attachments icon here and then add an attachment. Okay, I don't have anything very exciting here, so I'm going to add our own logo into this. But obviously you would put in a picture, an insurance policy, operational document, a site plan. Especially when it comes to playground equipment, it's really useful to add things like operational documents or service documents. So you've got that record. But I can add this in, and then that shows as a list there, and I can just close that. So now that point also has attachments permanently associated with it. So if I ever needed to refer to it, I can go back and have a look at it. Okay, so if I wanted to make any other edits, I can go back in and edit it. If I wanted to delete it, I can click that point there, but I'm not going to do that for this example. So that was one very small example. I want to add another one in, and I'm going to add in some playground equipment. Let's go and put that. Okay, I'm probably not going to have any good information here, but I'm going to make some up. For playground equipment, it's usually a good idea to put on the aerial photography, because you can usually pick out where the playground equipment is. Okay, so I've got some goalposts there. So actually that might go into sports equipment. So I'm going to go to Create, add a feature, select the layer, which is going to be sports equipment. Oh, by the way, there is a knowledge base article listing all the different categories for this. So if you're not sure which one to add it into, go and have a look at that knowledge base article. And Olivia should be able to find that link and put it into the chat box if she's on her toes. Okay, I'm going to put some goalposts and nets. Okay, I'm not going to waste time putting information in here now. I can come back and do that later. Go in and press save, and that adds it into the map. But it's not just point information you can add in. I can toggle all of these on. I can add areas in as well. So if I've got, what could I add in here? Playground areas, for example. So this might be useful if you've got, actually let's do that one there. So I'm going to go to add feature, and go to playground areas. And this is going to be a multi-use games area. And instead of doing a single click on the map, I'm going to do a series of single clicks. And as I do that, it starts to create a shape. And the end of the object is kind of attached to my mouse. So to finish it, I'm going to go back to the first point I clicked on, and you can see it snaps. When I do that, I'm going to do another single click, and then that completes the shape and allows me to save it. So I'm going to do that again, because I appreciate I did that quite quickly. I'll do one in this fake area here. So I'm going to do a series of single clicks on the map. Go back to my last position, and then click save. Oh, I didn't give it a category. You need to give it a category. Try that again. Then save that. Okay, and just like that point, I can go back to edit it. So I can click on it, go to edit, and I can just drag the edges of it. Just like imagine you're stretching out a rubber band, or you're just manipulating the perimeter of it to what you want it to be, and then update it and click save. So you can imagine for a playground area or even a grass cutting area, finding out the information about this. How big is it? Well, it's 600 meters squared. Or you could put that in ye olde language as well, into yards. Generational thing. Okay, so that's how you would build up an asset register within Parish Online. You're simply adding information into these preset groups of layers. And when you do that, that's going to build up a virtual digital document that you can refer to whenever you like. So that's something that we would like you to start using. Um, Experiment with it. Don't worry if you go wrong. Like I did earlier, you can always go back, click on something, and delete it if you need to. And that's a good point on the permissions, actually. So we would recommend that you would have your own account, and if you want to give access to other people within your council, there's an element of trust here. So you're going to have to make sure that they know what they're doing if you're going to make them an editor, but you can also make them a read-only. So they can only go in and look at what you've done. They can't affect any of that information. Just to give you a peace of mind there. Okay, actually going quite fast, so we're running out of time a bit. So what I'll do is show you give you a whistle-stop tour of some of the other things you can do in Parish Online. So if I was very proud of this and I wanted to share it with someone else, I could go and produce a print. I can make a PDF from this. So I can click on print and it brings up this red area. This is the boundary that your printout is going to be. And this is going to be called Chris's test print. You can choose a paper size, so it could be A4 portrait, landscape, or A3. And when I do that, it changes the shape, so I can put in center what I want to be in there. I can also put in a description or change the scale. It's probably getting a bit too close. And then simply click print. It goes away to our server and produces a high resolution PDF. When you click on that, it will pop it up in a different tab, and then you've got, depending on your browser, a download or a print to a physical printer option. So that's printing. There's a tutorial on that if you want to see that again, or you can also replay this video afterwards. Close that. If you want to measure something, you can do a quick measurement here, go into Tools and then Measure. And I can do a series of clicks, just like I was doing the editing. And that gives me a length. And I can switch that over into area. And it gives me an area. So these are completely temporary, so when you click cancel, those disappear. So don't use that to put any information in because it will disappear immediately. The same goes for the annotation tool. It does stay within your map, and in fact you can see as classic, here's one I've made earlier. But don't use this for adding your standard information. Make sure you, your asset information, make sure you use the create tool for that. But I can create an area. In fact, I'm going to use this one I've already done. You can use annotate tools to mark up the map to communicate something, or you can also use them to extract information from the map. So if I switch on the addresses again here, it'll take a few seconds again, depending on your internet connection or how much information you're requesting from our server. And I can use this shape to extract all of the addresses that are within that area. So I'm just going to click on that annotation object. I'm going to go to Data Extract. I'm going to extract from the addresses and click Run. And so it's found 16 records, and there they are. And if I wanted to, I could export those to a CSV file, which can open up in Excel, and that will hopefully save you a lot of time. Certainly if you're doing mail shots or collecting information in that area, you've got those addresses to go and use. Okay, what else can I show you? Well, there's some simple things here like bookmarks. If you're always working in the same area or doing a project, you can use bookmarks to switch to different areas. So if I do that, it will zoom me off to the other area that I was working on and show me the information I had on there. Okay, it wasn't a particularly exciting one, but that's the idea. And you can also view a legend. So again, not a very simple one. Maybe let's switch on some more information. Let's put on the asset register layers. And so it will show you a key of all of the information that's on the map. And bear in mind that it might not be in your particular view. It will be showing you information outside your area. Okay, the other little trick is you can actually have the ordnance survey mapping and the aerial photography switched on at the same time. Now, if you do that, you end up with quite a cool view where you can get the benefit of having the outlines of the ordnance survey mapping as well as the aerial photography behind. So if you're doing your asset register, I'd recommend trying that because it gives you a much more intuitive view of the scene. Okay, right. We're going to leave it there in terms of the practical session. I know we haven't covered very much, but we're hoping to do more of these so we can go into more detail on different ones. We'd really like your feedback on that. Let me switch back over into our PowerPoint slides. Done the practical. And so, as I said before, if you're looking to start using Parish Online, then you've got the ability to take a 30-day free trial. So it's a fully featured account and we don't limit you to anything. Just go and use it for whatever you like. You could also sign up straight away if you're really confident, you know what you want, you like that, and we'll give you a 10% discount for that. And also, as I mentioned earlier on, BHIB Councils Insurance are also offering free Parish Online subscriptions if you take out one of their new insurance policies. Now they're doing that because they see the value of the digital asset register and getting councils more informed and more aware of what assets they hold and essentially reducing your risk and liability, being more proactive with managing that. So for that, don't get in touch with us, but get in touch with BHIB Councils Insurance and they'll give you a quote. And if you take out one of their new policies, then they will create a Parish Online account for you, or we can do it, and then you're ready to go. That's available for new parishes, and it's also available for existing customers as well, so you can switch to a free Parish Online account. If you want to pay for Parish Online yourself, you don't want to take the insurance deal, then as I said earlier, we have population based pricing. So that ranges from £30 a year up to the very big parishes who are, well, big town councils really, who can be up to £3,000 a year. But don't let that scare you. On average, parishes are paying about £80 a year for their subscription. Okay, so go to parishonline.co.uk to go to the website and use the trial or the subscribe options there. And let's go into a Q&A. So thanks Olivia for sending these through. Crikey, we've got quite a few. From Pippa, using Parish Online for responding to planning applications, is it possible to have annotation layers where they are labelled for each planning application? Potentially, yes. The best way of doing this is to have the local authority share their planning application layer with you, preferably on a whole authority basis. If they do that, then the planning application points will sit on the map and then you can annotate them as you like. That's probably the best way to go about that one. If you want to go on more detail, I'm probably going to say this for everyone, if you want more detail on that or whether we can do it with a particular authority, get in touch with us on support and we can start hassling them for some data. And then her second question is there data available for protected species sightings? We don't have it in Parish Online at the moment, but I'm sure there are sources of data for that, so we might have a look and see what we can add in. I assume it's things like great crested newts and things like that would be very useful. So yes, we can put that on our list. Okay, next question. Is there a way to avoid paying £3 to land registry? Parish Online only provides the cadastral numbers, not owner ID. Sadly not, no. Sorry to burst your bubble there. The Parish Online has the cadastral boundaries. It has a code that links to land registry, but it doesn't allow you to get £3 off, I'm afraid. You still have to pay your £3. Yeah, we'd like that, but it's very, very expensive to do. Tony says, I'd like to know how to place the viewpoint icons so they point in the correct direction. At the moment, I can only select one with generic viewpoint rather than a specific one. Yeah, it's a good point. You can't actually do that at the moment. Well, actually, no, you could. We do have different arrows in Parish Online. I think there's some orange arrow icons, and you could use the class-based style to switch them. So you could say, I want a northwest one, and it will show northwest. That might be the best way about doing that one. If you want any help with that, look at the styling by class layer tutorial, or yeah, drop us an email. Question from Amzi. Is it possible to attend on-site with, say, an iPad or other device and plot directly into Parish Online, say a bench, and it knows where you are using GPS rather than guesstimating back in the office? Okay, so yes, well, yes, but not perfectly. So we're looking at a way to add your mobile phone or iPad's GPS to kind of give you an indication of where you are. So that we have done that in the past. It relies on your device having an internet connection and us updating the feature editor so that it uses geolocation. We have tested it, it works, but we need to improve it before we make it go live. So yes, hopefully in the future. Okay. Clipston Parish Council, on-site input using GPS device, gone over that one. Data from a spreadsheet. Yes, we can take data from your spreadsheet and load it up. Again, we're looking at better ways for doing this, particularly as Parish Online is being used a hell of a lot more now for asset registers. We need to take sort of legacy spreadsheet documents and add them in. So we're looking at better ways of doing that. Again, get in touch with us and we can work on that. Okay. Tony, I want to draw a neighbourhood plan boundary that corresponds to the parish boundary. Is there a quick way of doing this? Cool. Is there a quick way of doing this rather than tracing by hand? Oh, okay, I see what you mean. So you just want your parish boundary as opposed to yours and everyone else's. We're looking at this by doing it as a filter. So you'd be able to filter out all the other parishes apart from yours. I think that's probably the way to do it. But again, not completed yet, but we'll add that in. Well, it's already in our list. We'll let you know through our newsletter when that's ready. Yeah, lots of questions about adding data in from spreadsheets. So yes, what we'd like from you actually is to send us those spreadsheets, because that'll give us a really good idea of how much of a task it's going to be. Can't guarantee that we'll be able to do them straight away, but that information will be really handy, because then it'll help us and help our developers design how that works. Okay, Cold and Common Parish Council. Ooh, lots of questions. Can you add your own layers or are they preset? Yes, you can load your own layers. So if you go to the admin panel, let me just quickly switch over into parish mode again. The admin panel at the top in administration, you've got layers and you can add your own layer here. So this can be anything you like. can you have a public view and an operational view? That's something we're working on for the public map that will, there's a map sharing component. Again, released hopefully early next year. Do you have an app so you can take pictures and add assets on the go? Oh, these are all things that we're working on that we haven't finished yet. Hopefully when we do one of these next time, we'll have a few more of these ticked off. Yeah, we've certainly got an intention to do that. It's be a lot simpler for you if you're going out doing a walk around the village and collecting it as you go. Is there a limit to how many comments and documents you can upload for each data set? No. E.g., can you list every repair or service maintenance? Yes, you can. If a council subscribes, what training is available? Online training, knowledge base, support is all free. If you want to do on-site training, we'd recommend getting a group of you together because it's quite costly to do for getting us out in different parts of the country. So we have to charge for that. So I'd recommend getting a group together, maybe working through your ALC in the area. We've had good experience with the ALC organising training events, certainly down in Devon, in Somerset, and down in Rother in East Sussex recently. Really good training sessions. What is the link between Parish Online and Pair Technology? Do we need both? So there's no direct link between them in a technical sense, but we work together we basically, when you get in touch with us, if you want to do a particular thing, it might not be completely suitable for Parish Online, or it might not be completely suitable for Pair Technology software. So we have a kind of working arrangement where we would refer you to Pair, or Pair would refer you to us. We can take data from Pair software and put it into Parish Online as well, vice versa. So instead of competing with each other, we decided to work together to make sure whatever we were doing in terms of digital mapping was benefiting you guys. So do you need both? You don't need both. It depends on what you want to do. If you're doing cemetery management, for example, then we'd recommend using Pair Technologies tools there. If you're doing asset management and looking at flood zone data, all of the things I explained at the start, then use Parish Online. A few more here. Question from Peter Roberts. Is it possible to add rods as our allotments are measured in that way? Now, this came up at an event recently, and until then I didn't know what a rod was. Now I know what a rod was. Now I know what a rod is. We will try and add it in. We did some research, and I can't remember if we actually found out what it actually relates to. But if we can get it, say, one rod equals so many meters, then we can add it in as a unit. Who knew? Okay, question from Fivehead. I assume Fivehead Parish Council. Are you going to say anything about mapping a cemetery? No, not in this session. Cemetery mapping is a bit more specialist because it has a lot more there's a lot more onus on getting the actual plot sizes correct. Pair Technology do cemetery mapping, as in going out to a cemetery and physically surveying the area and producing maps for it. Those maps can go into the Pair software or things like Epitaph, but they can also go into Parish Online. But if you're doing a cemetery project, I'd recommend talking to the Pair guys. Sue Gilbert, can you download the asset register to Excel? Yes. So remember when we did the data extract? That's how you would extract it. So, for example, I can select my parish boundary, go to data extract, and extract all of the buildings. That'll give me a list of all of them, and then I can click the export button there. Bob, would it be possible to publish written answers to all these very relevant questions? Yeah, I think we'll have to do that. We can put that into a news article. It'll be a nice job for Olivia to do. from Carl. I don't have the parish layers section on my left-hand menu. Do you need to set this up for me? No. As soon as you create a layer in the admin panel, it will appear. So as soon as you do one of these, it will show you the parish layers on the left-hand side. Now, for anyone who's listening who doesn't have the asset register in here, which actually might be quite a few of you, we're adding this as we go at the moment, so it's not available for all parishes straight away. So if you want that added, drop us a message with your username and we can add that into your account. We just didn't do it straight away because it's quite a scary thing to do. Okay, right, that's most of the questions I think we've found there. Some sort of duplicate ones, and we're overrunning, so I think we will leave it there. Thank you very much for everyone who's stayed with us and listened to us for the full hour and 6 minutes. I hope you found it useful. We'd love your feedback, good and bad. But thank you very much for your time, and I hope you enjoy using Parish Online, and we hope it's really useful for you. Thank you very much.